Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, in this part of this afternoon's program, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a lady that requires very little introduction. She is a great friend of the Iranian people and our resistance movement, a former Colombian senator, as well as the presidential candidate in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ingrid Betancourt.
Hello, my dear friends, my dear Ashrafians, and all these distinguished guests of this incredible summit. 4 days that we have seen incredible people like never before, I would say. It's very encouraging to see that while there have been so many efforts in the dark to try to prevent us from coming here and meet and talk and defend the cause of the free Iran. So many people in the world have been coming from all over the continents. I'm so glad to see fellow South Americans. Very nice to see those testimonies of Argentina, which speak loudly of what the continent has bared, but from all over the place, from Africa, from Asia, from Europe. On Saturday, we had an amazing group of parliamentarians from all Europe. Italians came by the hundreds. And of course, well, you saw it in the media. Mike Pence was here. John Bolton was here. And I'm saying this because I think it's very important for us to reflect on what this means. This is not about ideology. This is not about right or left. And for us who have been here following this cause for some years, there is something that is deeply sinking in our souls. And it is that when we come here, we meet people that are good human beings. And because when you do politics, you are sometimes obliged to sit near people that you don't want to sit with, because you know what they represent. When you come here, it's like, I mean, you're relieved. You're relieved because people that come to sustain the Iranian resistance are people that are here because they believe in what they say, and they say what they believe, and they do what they think. And that's a big difference in this world. We are thinking about what happened 35 years ago. 30,000 people massacred. But I would say that what we're commemorating today is the ongoing massacre of the people of Iran. It's not 35 years ago, it's 44 years of massacre, of violation of human rights. And it's not a coincidence that when we were hearing the testimony of Mahid Sahiban, showing us the death corridor and showing where Raisi was sitting, the same Raisi that is now sitting at the president's of Iran. This shows that we are dealing with the same people, it's the same cause, and we will be dealing to exactly the same people and the same problems and the same crimes if we don't act differently. I say this because I'm puzzled with what the world does. I don't feel that I'm a revolutionary like the the ones who held me captive in Colombia claim to be. But I'm a revolutionary in my heart in the sense that I don't like what I see. And I don't like and I don't understand how the leaders of our countries, knowing what we know, do what they do. We know that Iran is in the path of gaining a nuclear bomb. We know it. We know that they have enriched uranium to an 84% of purity. We know that they have amassed enough uranium to destroy our countries, our freedom, our democracy, and yet we want to sign a nuclear agreement with Iran. We know that Iran is providing weapons to the most absurd and bloody, thirsty leader in today's world, Putin, which is coming to Ukraine like a barbarian with not other justification than to try to put his name on the history of the world by killing thousands of people. We know that they are providing, that the Iranians are providing drones to kill people in Ukraine, in this war that affects us, all of us. And yet, we want to have an agreement with Iran in order to lift the economic sanctions, which will allow them to kill more people and more of us. We know that they have kidnapped people like you and me, young people, tourists, coming from Europe, from the States, from free countries, and they have accused them to be spies, which is, of course, easy, because if you're a spy, you don't have to demonstrate anything, because it's secret. So these young people, women and men, tourists, like your children, your sisters, your brothers, are detained in the prisons of Iran. And yet, we are, here in Europe, freeing from our jails the people, the criminals, the terrorists that they use to blackmail us. In 2018, the people that were in a meeting similar to this one could have been killed because there was a diplomat, an Iranian diplomat, that was on a mission to bring a bomb to this precise event and to kill us all. And yet, we signed treaties in order to swap prisoners and to send them, the criminals, in exchange for innocent people, which of course they have to come back, are innocent people, are citizens. But what are we doing? Sometimes I think that it's true that we have this craziness to give to our enemies a rope to hang our democracies. And that's what we're doing with Iran. What are the consequences of this policy? Some of us have been talking about appeasement, that this is a policy of appeasement. And of course, history tells us what happened with appeasement. But I would say that this is not an appeasement policy. This is a submitting and kneeling policy. This is, in French we would say, génuflexion. On s'est agenouillé devant le crime. And I think that this is something that we're going to pay the big price. And we're paying it. We began to pay it already. 3 weeks ago, there was a raid in this peaceful space that the Iranian resistance has been granted with the blessing of the United States, with the blessing of the UN, in Albania, which has been the country that we have been so grateful with for having hosted people that were going to be massacred in Iraq, because the Iranians had a puppet regime that were killing those same people, and we had to move them and bring them to Albania in Europe, a country in majority Muslim, respected, freed from communism, with a new tradition of democracy, and suddenly we are facing that what happened in Iraq is now happening in Albania. And what was told today, the news that we heard, is appalling. That not only they enter this private space, if you wish, that should be preserved because, of course, we know that it represents the hope of freedom for millions of Iranians. And they entered, they took the information from the computers, and they gave it to the Iranians. What is happening? What is happening in the dark? This is not something that citizens in the world are okay with. They have to do it in the dark because it's shameful. Because this will cost more lives of people that are defending their birthright, the right to live in dignity, the same rights that in Argentina you had to fight, that in Colombia we have to fight, that today in South America many have to fight, and in the world many have to fight, and the democracies, the leaders, respected leaders of the Western countries are now giving information to the Iranians, a regime of terrorists, of corrupt men, of gangsters, of politics. So we are allying ourselves to these people. Who are we becoming? What can we expect from the world we're going to hand to our children if today we are accepting that this could be the new normal? And I say this also because I'm appalled as a French national. I'm also Colombian, but I'm French. French saved me. I'm here and I live in France because France fought for my freedom. And I'm simply scandalized to think that a French government, which, by the way, is center-left, because we can't say that it's from the right or the extreme right. No, it's center-left. Macron was in the government of Hollande, so we think that it's a center, very democratic, upon principles, upon human rights. We have the Panthéon. We honor the people that died for the freedom of our country. And then we decide to kneel and bow under the pressure of Iran. And we decide that it's not possible to have a meeting to support the free resistance because it's so dangerous. It is so dangerous now to live in our world that a democratic country like France cannot guarantee the safety of its citizens. And we cannot express our support to the freedom in the world because Iranians are so dangerous that they could kill us. And I'm appalled because in 2018, the Belgian justice did its work. They chased them, they put them to jail, and they were sentenced to 30 years. Our justice in Europe did the work. Our media is doing the work. For many years, it was silence. No one would speak about the Iranian resistance. Until now. You can see in the New York Times, front page, in Le Figaro, yesterday. Now, people are beginning to see that there's an option, a political option to the craziness of the mullahs. And we have seen, as I said as I was beginning, in this summit, so many extraordinary voices with us, showing that we're strong, that we have momentum, that people in the world, normal people, jaywalkers, people are good in their hearts. They want us to be fighting for the good in the world. So I'm so glad that we're together here today, because we are not bowing and we are not kneeling, and we are standing all together. And we are standing because in Iran, girls, women, young men, and not so young people are standing. And when they stand, they are shot with real bullets. And we are standing with them. We are standing with Miriam Rajavi. And we are standing with our brothers and sisters, because I'm taking the word, our brothers and sisters of Ashraf, because it will not happen again. Thank you. Thank you for being brave and being here.